You're 14 and the Nile's water laps against the wooden dock as your father pushes you forward. Your wrists are bound with linen rope that smells of sweat and desperation. He sold you for 20 deben of copper, enough to feed your family through the flood season. The merchant doesn't look at your face, only at your teeth, your hair, and the straightness of your spine. You pass inspection. Your mother cries behind you, but your father grabs her arm and pulls her away. You hear her voice crack as she screams your name, but the merchant's hand is already on your shoulder. You try to turn around one last time, but the rope burns your wrists, and the sun is too bright. You can't see her anymore. They march you through Thebes where the columns rise like gods frozen in stone, and the air smells of incense and power. You're one of 7 girls purchased that week, all destined for the pharaoh's harem. A woman with coal-lined eyes and a voice like sharpened bronze inspects you under an awning. She measures your hips, checks your skin, and declares you suitable for the lower quarters. That night you sleep on a reed mat in a room with 12 other girls, and you realize your childhood ended the moment copper touched your father's palm. You're told to rise before dawn, to bathe in scented water, and to never speak unless spoken to. Your place is not to serve wine or clean halls. Your place is to be beautiful, available, and invisible. You're now property of the palace, and your value has nothing to do with your thoughts. The old concubines tell you this on your first morning, their voices flat and practiced. You're 15 and the training begins. Every morning starts with ritual bathing where stone basins are filled with water scented with lotus and myrrh. The attendants scrub you with natron salt that burns your skin and strips away any trace of the village girl you used to be. Then comes the hair removal. Every strand below the eyebrows must vanish. The attendants wax and pluck until your skin feels raw and your eyes water. After that, the oiling. Thick almond oil is poured over your body while a servant hums prayers to Hathor, the goddess of beauty and love. You're polished like a ceremonial offering, your skin gleaming under the lamplight. Then comes the makeup, ground galena for your eyes, red ochre for your lips, crushed carmine beetles for your cheeks. You stare into a bronze mirror and barely recognize yourself. You look like a statue, beautiful and empty. They teach you to walk with your hips swaying just enough to suggest grace but not desperation. They teach you to hold wine cups without spilling, to smile without showing teeth, to laugh without making sound. A woman named Isnofrit, a senior concubine who has been here for 15 years, slaps your wrist when you move too quickly. She says the pharaoh does not like clumsy women. You learn to move like water. You're 16 and you've learned how to hold your face like a painted mask. Breakfast is a performance. You sit among 24 other concubines on embroidered cushions, eating honeyed dates and figs with 3 fingers only. Posture must imply nobility, fertility, and mild but tasteful boredom. One girl smiles too long in your direction, which means she thinks tonight might be her night. You smile back like a declaration of war. The senior concubines watch from the edges, their kohl darker, their headdresses taller, their smile studies in regal threat management. They've been here 20 years. They know which girls will survive and which will break. Isnofrit sits closest to the entrance, her eyes scanning the room like a hawk. You keep your head down and your eyes soft. Survival here is about knowing when to be seen and when to disappear. You're 17 and the harem has its own rhythm, its own invisible rules. The palace complex, called the Pergenerate, is a self-contained world with gardens, workshops, and administrative offices. The pharaoh's daughters and nieces live here too, each with their own quarters. The hierarchy is strict and everyone knows their place. The great royal wife rarely visits, but when she does, the entire harem falls silent. She walks with an entourage of summons you. You walk through corridors lit by oil lamps, your heart pounding so hard you can hear it in your ears. His chamber smells of cedar and wine. He touches your face with fingers heavy with rings and speaks words you don't fully understand. When it's over, he hands you a scarab amulet carved from lapis lazuli and says the gods are pleased. You return to your quarters with the amulet clutched in your palm, and the other girls look at you differently now. You've crossed a threshold. You're no longer invisible. Weeks later, your stomach turns in the mornings. You drop a tray of perfume bottles and don't hear them shatter. An older concubine notices, presses her hand to your belly, and whispers that this could save you. You ask what she means, but she only says to pray. He acknowledges it. A few months pass and your belly swells beneath the linen. The other concubines start giving you space, some offering bread or a softer cushion. When the pharaoh sees you, he raises an eyebrow, then laughs. He declares the child is his and orders it recorded in the temple. You begin to understand. You're no longer just a body passed around at his will. You are now Umed, the mother of his child. Chains do not disappear, but they shift. You cannot be sold or dismissed now. You still kneel, still smile when asked, but there's something different in how they look at you. Your belly is no longer shameful. It is power, temporary and fragile, yet it is yours. The great royal wife pretends not to notice, though her coldness sharpens. When she enters a room, you lower your eyes. She does not speak to you. But once she passes close and whispers that he will tire of you to just wait. Then she keeps walking, her gold bracelets clinking like tiny knives. You're 19 and the baby is born on a stone floor with only a midwife and 2 servants present. The pain is worse than anything you've ever imagined. A girl, her skin is soft and golden, her cries strong. The midwife smiles and says she will live. The pharaoh visits that evening. He holds the child briefly, nods with approval, then leaves before the lamps are lit. His perfume lingers on the linen long after he's gone. They give you a small room near the gardens. It's hot and cramped, but it is yours. You're allowed to keep the baby with you for now, to nurse her, to sing to her when no one is listening. The older concubine helps you recover, showing you how to wrap your belly, how to keep the baby quiet when the great wife is nearby. She tells you to stay useful, that it will keep you safe. You're 23 and your daughter runs through the harem gardens like she owns the land. The guards don't stop her and the servants smile when she passes. She's your daughter, but she's also his, and that means something here. She eats cakes from silver plates, wears linen dyed in saffron, and sleeps with carved amulets meant to keep evil spirits away. You watch from the edge of the courtyard, holding a basket of folded linens, while she chases dragonflies under the date palms. The pharaoh comes to see her sometimes, but not you. He nods when you bow. He doesn't touch you anymore, not since his new wife arrived from a foreign kingdom. You should be relieved, but the silence feels like punishment too. At night, when your daughter curls into your lap and asks why the other children won't play with her, you say, because they're jealous. You don't tell her it's because she doesn't belong anywhere. Not fully a slave, not fully royal. You wonder if she'll hate you for that one day. You're 28 and you've learned how to avoid the great wife's gaze. You take the back stairs, you keep your voice soft. You've taught your daughter not to run indoors, not to sing too loud, not to look directly at her. It works, but only for a while. One morning, your daughter knocks over a vase while playing and it shatters across the floor. The great wife screams, your daughter freezes. You rush in too fast, grab her too hard, apologize too quickly. The great wife stands over both of you, trembling with rage. She calls your daughter wild like her mother. Her hand rises, but a court steward stops her, not out of kindness, but because the pharaoh has made it known the girl is his. Later that week, the pharaoh summons you. He says nothing at first, only staring at your daughter as she sleeps on a mat. He declares that she will go to school, that she will learn to read and write. You nod, grateful yet terrified. School means exposure, eyes on her, questions. When he leaves, he pats your shoulder as if you are a dog that has done something well. You remain standing long after the door closes, your hands trembling. Hope is dangerous here. You're 32 and your daughter leaves on a boat down the Nile, promised in marriage to a regional governor, a man twice her age but with wealth and influence. You watch from the shore as she grows smaller and smaller until she's just a shape, then a shadow, then nothing. You return to your room and find it unbearably empty. You're 34 and the palace has grown quieter. The pharaoh's health is failing. His gait is slow, his words more brittle than before. One morning, a servant finds him cold on the floor beside his bed. The palace falls into stillness. There's wailing, a ceremony, and then there is uncertainty. Not freedom, not yet, but something close. Under Egyptian law, a concubine who bore the pharaoh's child and whose child was recognized can be released from service when he dies. That was the rule. The new pharaoh, young and eager to purge his father's court, orders the harem dissolved. Most of the concubines are sent away with small parcels of land or silver. You receive a modest house near the temple district and a yearly stipend of grain. You say nothing until the scribe brings the papers and tells you the words you've waited your entire life to hear. You are no longer owned. You're 38 and the garden no longer smells like fear. You live in a house with a door that locks from the inside. You wear linen that isn't a uniform. Your name is on records, not just your body. Your daughter writes to you sometimes, short letters delivered by travelers. She says her husband is kind enough that she has a son now, that life is bearable. The same merchants who once passed you without a glance now bow politely. Some even ask if you need help with your basket. One night, you open a small wooden box beneath your bed. Inside is a thin bracelet your mother gave you before they sold you. You hadn't looked at it in years. You run your fingers along the faded etchings. You remember her voice, her tears, and her hope that maybe life would still offer something more. Now you live in a house where no one owns your body, where no one calls you girl or property or concubine. You eat what you like. You rise when you choose, you walk freely. And sometimes, when the light hits the Nile just right, you allow yourself to believe that you survived.